think we have football's offensive coordinator, Joe Sloan, on hold right now. Shannon, is that right?
Yep, he's ready.
All right, let's do it. Bring him on. Hey, Coach, can you hear us?
I got you guys.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much for joining us. If you can't tell, we're juiced to have you on. How is your morning going? How is your summer going?
It's going great. Just got done with a little workout. I wouldn't hold yourselves accountable for anything on the court. I think you guys, I don't know that I'd blame you, you know?
Thank you. We were hoping someone would call in and say that. I didn't expect it to be you, but I appreciate that. Makes me feel a little better.
Well, I was getting to listen all about it, you know?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, we got a couple of different questions for you and just a couple minutes here to do it. But my big thing, Jack has a big O-line question for you. I have a question about the plan that you had coming in. And then obviously you get through spring ball, and now here you are in the summer. How has your plan changed, if at all, from day one when you got here and you started putting the scheme together and you start getting all of those signatures or all those faxes, as Jack said, start coming in with all your recruits and your commits. And then you actually get them on campus, you put them in pads, and you see these guys work for a couple of weeks. How did that spring period change your plans for the fall?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, obviously, right, you get hired, and Coach Stein was in the middle of coaching two teams, right? Which was kind of wild. So he gave us some direction and was in constant communication and said, all right, go. And I think in today's world of football, right, everything can move so fast. I mean, in about a 2 to 3 week period, there's so many things that happen that used to happen over a couple years, right? So you got to just move fast and do the best you can, right, with a guiding light principle, which I think we did. I think we were able to add to the team and keep some really good players that have been here before, and retain those guys, and then add to it what we needed to fill in the different holes that we felt like we had. So I think that was number one. And then from there, it's about establishing the culture, learning the offense, right? And I think the guys did a really nice job of that. Coach Stein has a really nice schedule in terms of how he organizes the week that I think allows our guys to really learn quickly, get a ton of reps, and we do it a lot at a fast pace. So that was awesome. I mean, the spring, obviously, you're working through and everybody's getting so much work. You're going to have some mistakes, and I think we've been able to regroup. And then the guys going in the summer, they're doing a really nice job. Now it's about starting to kind of reset the standard. All right, now we know what's going on. We want to reset the standard and understand what we're preparing for in the fall.
Coach, Jack Pilgrim here. We talked earlier in the show that about the fax machines and what a signing day looks like. Is it still a traditional fax machine where you get the hot paper come in and the ink and all of that?
I think if you polled our football team and asked them what a fax machine was, you would get 0 out of 111 or whatever we have. No, it is a little e-sign, just like everything else in the world. One click, you're in. Let's go.
One click.
So of those signatures, of the e-signatures, Lance Hurd was quite a big one, anchoring the top 10 portal class you guys added. Just what was the war room like? What the recruiting process, knowing like, hey, we've identified him as our guy. He's the anchor. We got to protect our gem of a quarterback, but you got to protect him. What was that like? The recruiting process and just the feeling of victory when that e-signature came in.
Yeah, I think Lance obviously was a huge addition for us. I think everything starts up front. It starts up front in football. I mean, I think consistently at all levels, you see teams that consistently win are good up front on both sides of the ball. And obviously, right, me being on offense, our focus in getting here was we had to have experience and we had to have talent up front, both, right? And I think we were able to do that. Obviously, Lance was a huge piece of that, especially playing left tackle. I mean, that was a fun one, right? It comes down. Obviously, he could have gone many places in the country, right? But I think he saw what Coach Stein's plan was here. He saw the special aspects of what UK and the BBN is, and he felt that, right? And I think he felt that from our staff. I think he felt that from everybody involved. So it was huge. And I would tell you, right, if you had him on, he would tell you it's been just an unbelievable decision, and just the experience he's had. I think the relationship he has with Coach Leftwich and everybody else. But it wasn't just Lance, right? It was Colton Price, Integra, and Max, and all these different guys that we were able to add up front, which I think were critical because really you lost 5 starters from last year, and I only had a couple guys coming back with experience, which it was important to keep those guys as well. So I think from a retention standpoint and a recruiting standpoint, we were able to really do some great things up front. And I think it showed in the spring as those guys came together. And obviously we kind of mix up the teams, but as we narrowed down and who are our top few guys, I think you're starting to see them work really well together, and they have an opportunity to be a strength of our team.
Coach, we can't have the OC on and not talk about the quarterbacks, but we are up against a break here. Do you have time to hang with us through a quick break and join us for another segment real quick?
I can hang with you. Y'all got to make some money.
Defensive coordinator Joe Sloan still on the phone with us. Coach, what's your go-to music? What are you listening to?
Ooh, I'm a big kind of like, outlaw country, rock and roll country, like, Tyler Childers, Chris Stapleton. Actually, which when I got here, I learned that they were both from Kentucky. So there you go, right? But that kind of sound, little Whiskey Myers action. I was in near East Texas for a while.
Okay. A little foreshadowing. You like a couple Kentucky guys.
Yeah, I do. Used to be a Jimmy Buffett guy all the time, but I'm branching out.
You moved inland. That's what happened.
That's right.
Well, as I said before the break, Coach, I want to talk to you about Kenny Minchey. Of course, Jack and I were talking about this earlier. Like, we have all these expectations, all this excitement. We've heard the talk that Kenny's a guy who almost won the starting job at Notre Dame. And I talked with him a couple times in the spring and came away so impressed every time just by the leadership this dude exudes. But we haven't seen a lot of him on the field. What can you tell the fans who are excited for the season but not exactly sure what they're getting yet from their quarterback?
Yeah, I think, that obviously you got an opportunity to hear him, and everybody's got an opportunity to hear him in some interviews, and I think you can see his poise, his communication skills, his leadership, and just what type of young man he is. But, on the field as a player, I mean, he's extremely competitive. His attention to detail is really unmatched. I mean, and he's just such a worker. And he's prepared for this moment. He's been in college football now for a long time, and you can see that, right? You can see his experience, you can see his confidence. He can sling it all over the field. I think he's extremely accurate, got a tight release. And I think he can do a lot of the things, right, that Coach Stein has done in the past, right, with different quarterbacks and myself. So we're excited. Really, you don't know, right? You recruit a guy who you think this is exactly what's going to happen, and then he gets here and you kind of hold your breath that it's exactly what you thought. And I think he's been everything we thought and more.
Hey, on that note of the quarterback room, just how are you guys, and it's the most timely talking point with Matt Ponitaskki, how are you guys kind of juggling the next couple of weeks for him as he prepares for the MLB draft? I know he, kind of pushed back on some of the narratives about, that he's just a baseball guy. Said that you guys have been pushing him to pursue his dreams, say if now is the time, and you guys, he gets what he's looking for. He'd be stupid to go, was his, to not take it was his exact quote. How are you guys just kind of addressing the next couple of weeks, knowing just how talented he is and what his future could hold in Lexington?
Yeah, I think for Matt and for any of our guys, right? Like in terms of something like that, it is he and his family are going to make the best decision for him. We're going to do a great job for Kentucky football every single day and showing up for the guys. And then, as Matt makes his decision and what he needs to do, right, we'll be all in because he'll be a member of the Kentucky football team, right? So whatever that is, I mean, I think that's all we can do instead of trying to those kind of situations. Some of it's out of our control, and so we just include him in what he can, and then we wait and see.
We got about 2 minutes with you here, Coach, then we'll let you go. Looking even farther into the future, I know you guys have tons of guys already signed on for the next couple of classes. Can't talk about those guys individually with you yet, but the class as a whole is impressive, and you still have some big weekends coming up. The recruiting right now feels like it's on another level. What's the secret sauce? Can you take us behind the scenes a little bit and how you guys are getting these signatures on some of these official visits?
Well, I think it starts with Coach Stein's energy and how he sets up the program. So when guys come on campus, they feel it, they see it, they see how our players are really taken to the culture and how they're bouncing around with energy. They see what's getting done, the work that's getting done, the development. So I think that's number one, right? Because it has to start inside our building. And then when they come see it, they got to envision themselves in that environment, which I think that's where it starts. And then, he's done a really good job of showing the energy that we're going to play with, that we're going to carry ourselves with. And I think young guys are attracted to that. Coach Stein put together a great staff of a lot of guys who can really communicate effectively and are hard workers. And that's what recruiting is. Can you communicate? Can you meet those players where they are? And can you give them a vision of who they're going to be within our program? And then you just got to be relentless, right, in what we're doing. And that's where I think it's been. It's been a staff effort, but it obviously starts at the top. But it starts with what's going on inside our building when those guys show up for visits.
Offensive coordinator Joe Sloan. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Joe. We appreciate your time, and especially because you hung out with us for 2 whole segments. So thank you so much.